After a brief lull, Russia again launched missile strikes on a bustling lakeside resort near Ukraine's second-largest city on Sunday, attacking nearby villages and resulting in at least 11 deaths and numerous injuries. These missile strikes are part of a sustained campaign of Russian attacks in recent weeks, targeting the Kharkiv region in northeastern Ukraine. Russian troops have initiated a new offensive in this area, further escalating the conflict and causing widespread devastation.
Today, around 3:00 p.m., the Russian military, violating the laws and customs of war, bombarded a residential quarter of the central district of the city of Kharkiv, Shevchenkivsky district, with an UMPB-D-30 SN aerial bomb. You can observe the wreckage of the indicated rocket. You can observe the destructive power of this missile. The launch was carried out from the territory of the Belgorod region from an airplane. The rocket hit a private yard.
In Odesa, Russian airstrikes on Friday resulted in 1 death and 8 injuries, as reported by Ukraine's national police on Telegram. 5 of the injured were hospitalized, while 3 received treatment at the scene. The strikes have left the city's residents in a state of fear and uncertainty. Emergency crews, including 58 firefighters and 16 units of equipment, tackled a large blaze covering 8,000 square meters following the airstrikes. The fire, which raged for hours, caused extensive damage to buildings and infrastructure. Ukrainian troops are fighting to repel Russian advances in the northeastern Kharkiv region. Recent Russian attacks are also intensifying in the eastern Donetsk region, as well as Chernihiv, Sumy, and Zaporizhzhia, further straining Ukraine's resources and testing the resilience of its military. A new mobilization law came into effect in Ukraine on Saturday, aimed at increasing troop numbers amidst a fresh Russian offensive threatening Kharkiv. This law represents a significant effort to bolster Ukraine's defenses in the face of mounting pressure from Russian forces. The revised legislation makes it easier to identify conscripts and offers incentives like cash bonuses and housing funds, though analysts worry about Ukraine's ability to afford these incentives. The financial strain on the country's economy is a growing concern as the war drags on. Lawmakers passed the law in mid-April after months of delays, following Ukraine's decision to lower the draft age from 27 to 25. This change underscores the severe pressures faced by Ukrainian forces after more than 2 years of conflict. At a training center for the 3rd Assault Brigade, volunteers are undergoing rigorous training. One recruit, known by the call sign Rojas, highlighted the urgent need to support soldiers holding positions with insufficient manpower.
The hostages of the situation are not those who are afraid of being mobilized, but those soldiers who are holding positions in a team of 3 when there should be 10 men. These guys are hostages of the situation, and they should be relieved. So we have gathered here and are preparing for this.
On Friday, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy signed 2 laws allowing prisoners to join the army and significantly increasing fines for draft evasion. These measures aim to address the critical shortage of military personnel.
Russia wants to show that they are the ones who determine what happens next in the war. Our task is to thwart Russia's attempt to expand the war and to prevent the occupier from breaking both the front line and our diplomacy, our way of bringing a just peace closer.
With Russia enlisting prisoners early in the war, Ukraine has now adopted similar measures due to personnel shortages. Meanwhile, Russian forces are advancing in northeastern Ukraine, putting additional pressure on Ukraine's military and highlighting the urgent need for reinforcements. After weeks of probing, Russia has launched a new offensive in Kharkiv, exploiting Ukraine's personnel shortages and stretched defenses. The intensity of the attacks has caught Ukrainian forces in a challenging situation. Russian President Vladimir Putin stated during a visit to China on Friday that the offensive aims to create a buffer zone rather than capture Kharkiv, despite heavy bombardment of the city's civilian and energy infrastructure. Although Moscow denies targeting civilians, the conflict has resulted in thousands of casualties over 27 months of fighting. In response, the US announced a new $400 million military aid package for Ukraine last week. President Joe Biden has promised rapid delivery of essential weaponry to help Ukraine counter Russian advances. However, Ukrainian commanders report that the aid is arriving slowly at the front lines, estimating it will take at least 2 months to meet their defensive needs. Russia claimed Sunday that it has repelled the Ukrainian army and hit several military targets, while Ukraine said it has weakened the attacks of the Russian forces, according to the latest updates from both sides. The Russian Defense Ministry said that its forces warded off multiple attacks launched by Ukrainian forces and occupied advantageous positions in areas including Kharkiv. It also struck Ukrainian tanks, multiple rocket launcher systems, ammunition depots, and other targets. In addition, Russian air defense forces intercepted a number of Ukrainian tactical missiles, aerial bombs, rockets, and drones. This interception effort has been part of Russia's strategy to weaken Ukraine's offensive capabilities. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy on Sunday said the Russian forces failed to achieve their goal of stretching the Ukrainian forces and thus weakening them. Despite the ongoing attacks, Ukraine remains determined to defend its territory and sovereignty.